We are just one day away from Notre Dame at Clemson, number 15 Fighting Irish, according to the college football playoff ranking, going on the road to face 4-4 Clemson, a hungry Dabo Swinney coach team, is looking to upset Notre Dame at home. 12 p.m. Eastern time kickoff, folks. So enjoy a nice early game. Before we dive into Tim Hyde's 3 keys to the game and his score prediction, hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to our channel if you have not done so yet. And of course, go to blueandgold.com for so much more Notre Dame covered. So, Tim, key number 1, it's an interesting quarterback battle. Sam Hartman versus Cade Klubnik. So your first key here is winning the passing game.
Yes, because both defenses are outstanding against the pass. So you have Notre Dame's pass efficiency defense is number 3. Clemson's number 12 in the country. You're going yards attempt, all these other little metrics. You basically, you got 2 top 10 pass defenses, really what you have in this game, Notre Dame, Clemson. So what quarterback's going to throw? Both group of wide receivers are not really the most dynamic when you're looking at Clemson, and we know Notre Dame. Notre Dame without Mitch Evans is, Sam Hartman's go-to guy the last couple, really the last 4 or 5 games is obviously out for the season. So how's that dynamic going to work on, especially third down for Sam Hartman? But, a little stat as I started breaking this down is Clemson pass efficiency offense for the entire offense is number 71. Not good whatsoever. Notre Dame's for the entire year through this season so far is number 9, Mike. The 9th best passing efficiency offense in the country. So this is just going to be one of those matches, what quarterback, because the DBs for both teams are electric. So obviously heading in, you would think it's Hartman, his experience. Dabo talked about him. Like, I've been coaching against this guy for 10 years. He had a lot of positives to say about Hartman, the Notre Dame program, in his press conference. So I think this is going to be a big one for Notre Dame going on the road.
Yes, obviously you just touched on the defenses, Tim, and your key number 2 here is who has the better defense. It's not a bad unit for the Tigers at all.
No, I mean, you got number 6 total defense. You got, and I started looking at Pro Football Focus, breaking down all of their data points and all that. Pro Football Focus has them as the number 1 rushing overall defense in the country. Number 6 total pass coverage. They're in the top 20. The one thing I found very interesting was they're ranked 46 as a pass rushing unit, where Notre Dame is ranked number 11. So I kind of found that interesting because sacks, both teams, Notre Dame's only got 1 more sack than Clemson this year, but the hurries, the pressures, the havoc rate Notre Dame has been outstanding. And then Notre Dame, obviously, with all of their numbers, are way up top in the national ranking scoring. And Clemson's right there neck and neck with these guys. One thing, though, real quick about Clemson is their rushing defense is high. They're only giving up 99 yards a game. Yet they've given up 200 yards to Miami, 200 yards to Duke ran on them. Wake had 100 yards. The only teams they've really held under were NC State last week and Florida State. Other teams out there have been able to run the ball on them. So who has the better defense on the road? The way Notre Dame has been, I think Notre Dame's pressure compared to Clemson's pressure unit, I think that's going to win the game here for Notre Dame. Is there a ability to wreak havoc, especially in the Aztec package, which has been awesome the last 2 weeks?
So 3 road ACC games up to this point. Yeah. You go on the road. It was a little bit of a struggle early against NC State, but then Notre Dame pulls away. And then you have Duke, a win at the last second, and then Louisville, a game that Notre Dame was in there late, and then it kind of fell apart. So key number 3, Tim, you just wanted to touch on this being another ACC road trip for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, it's crazy. This is going to be outside of the COVID year where Notre Dame was obviously in the conference and they played 4 road games that year, but it was, they were part of the conference. This is Notre Dame's first time ever with 4 true on-campus road games and playing ACC. I think this contract started 10 years ago. There's a couple of years, Mike, they've had 1 in this deal, which is interesting. So, they played 3 a couple times, but now it's 4. And this is a tough one because Dabo, a little Dabo stat, a little Clemson stat here. Dabo has not lost 2 home games since 2010. I mean, obviously he has had a run, his caller and all the hype that Dabo's been on talking about and all the press he's been getting in this 4-4 stretch. Clemson's been nails at home during this entire reign. So the fact that they haven't lost 2 home games since 10 is fascinating. But It's a down Clemson team, and if he's going to lose two, let's make it to Notre Dame here on Saturday.
Yeah, it is a down Clemson team, but it's not a bad Clemson team. I mean, they could lose this game and be like the best 4-5 team you've probably ever seen. I mean, you look at their schedule here. They lost to Duke 28-7, but I mean
That's
that
kind of like the Louisville game. Think of it, think of the way the Louisville score is, where
for
that game
Notre
was
Dame,
so tight in the fourth quarter and it got away from them at the
right?
end. I mean, yeah, Clemson was inside the 5-yard line a couple times against Duke and no
Yeah,
points.
yeah, they
Crazy.
had a little fumbleitis, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
FSU, it was at home, but they lost in overtime. I'm sure Dabo Swinney is kicking himself on that game.
Yep.
Miami on the road, 2 overtime loss, and then you lose on the road to NC State, which Clemson has lost there before. They lose there by a touchdown, so it's not a bad Clemson team. So we look at the odd shark now, our favorite thing. Their prediction, based on their algorithm and whatnot, Clemson 31, Notre Dame 30. The line currently gives Notre Dame, or Notre Dame's a 3-point favorite, over under at 44. And then looking at the line history, when there was those way too early, betting lines, Clemson was a 4.5-point favorite. And then October 29th, Notre Dame opened at a 3-point favorite, and that's shifted from 3.5 to 2.5, and it's kind of settled as of now when we record this on Wednesday night at 3 points. Notre Dame favored by. So, yeah, Tim, it's a really interesting game like this. I think this one's going to be tight and maybe in the 20s. But usually we're wrong on score predictions.
Yeah.
Typically, these games are hard to predict. I remember the Pittsburgh game last week. I'm like, man, Notre Dame's a 20-point favorite against Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that's a huge number, and then they win by 51. So, anyways, Tim, what's your score prediction? Why don't you take a stab at this one?
Yeah, exactly. How about we flip a coin? Who knows, right? It's like, this time, when these two battled last year, Clemson's number 4 in the first, playoff predictions that came out, the rankings, and they're 8-0, number 4 in the country, and they're 7-7 since. It is like wild. The game, Florida State, they got the lead, they kick a field goal to go up by 2 scores, they don't make it. Florida State goes right down, ties it. They have a fourth quarter lead at Miami, lose that game. And then last week was meltdowns, is turnovers. They lead the country in fumbles. They have had a lot of turnovers. It's a young team, obviously a new OC, all those types of things. It's just sometimes in football, you have a meltdown of a season, and Dabo Swinney and Clemson have been, kicking everyone's heads in basically for 12 years, that he's just having one of those. So my prediction, I think Notre Dame, they got a lot of older dudes. Dabo talked about that in his press conference, this experienced Notre Dame team. He must have mentioned that 10 times in his press conferences. I think those guys are going to go on the road because they know it's a bye next week. They know what this game means. You win this, you set up, Mike, for a huge New Year's 6 battle down the road. I'm going to pick Notre Dame 24, and I'm going to go Clemson. I'll go 17. I'll go at 24-17. Notre Dame wins by a touchdown, whether it's late or not. I think it's going to be a tight game. Both defenses are outstanding. I got to believe Notre Dame just finds a way to win this thing on the road.
All right, so there you have it, folks. Notre Dame 24, Clemson 17. Take that to the bank. I'm sure that's exactly what it's going to be. We'll find out on Saturday afternoon, 12 p.m. Eastern time kickoff. I will be there, so we'll do the post-game show from Death Valley. Tim is coaching in his own high school game, so Tim will be out. I'll be with Kyle Kelly, my fellow recruiting reporter at Blue and Gold. So please join us after the game. We will want to hear from you in the YouTube comments to talk about that game, so please do join us. Hit that thumbs up if you have not done so yet, Notre Dame fans. And as always, we will catch you next time.